Imagine a man so charming, so intelligent, and so ruthless that he built an entire hotel designed for murder. Hidden behind the shining promise of Chicago's 1893 World's Fair was a nightmare unlike anything America had ever seen. This is the story of Herman Webster Mudgett, better known as H.H. Holmes, a man often called America's first serial killer, and the horrifying maze he built to trap his victims. Welcome to the Murder Castle. Holmes was born in 1861 in Gilmanton, New Hampshire. From a young age, he showed signs of brilliance and darkness. He was fascinated by anatomy and death. Childhood classmates claimed he once trapped animals and dissected them in secret. By the time he entered medical school, Holmes had learned how to fake insurance claims, steal corpses, and profit from death. It wasn't long before he decided to put those skills to much darker use. After moving to Chicago in 1886, he changed his name to H.H. Holmes, a new identity for a man with big, deadly ambitions. In 1892, on the corner of Wallace and 63rd Street, Holmes began construction on what he called the World's Fair Hotel, but locals would later know it by another name, the Murder Castle. The building was massive, 3 stories tall, filled with over 100 rooms and designed like a labyrinth. Holmes personally supervised construction, firing workers frequently so no one understood the full layout. Inside the walls were secret passages, hidden chutes, trapdoors, and rooms with no windows. Some rooms were soundproof, others were lined with gas pipes that Holmes could control from his office. Victims would check in and never check out. Holmes' victims were mostly young women who came to Chicago looking for work during the World's Fair. He offered them jobs, charm, and safety, only to lead them into rooms designed for death. Some were gassed in sealed chambers, others were trapped in vaults, left to suffocate. Their bodies were sent down chutes to the basement, where Holmes stripped them of flesh, sold skeletons to medical schools, or destroyed all evidence in acid and quicklime. The 1893 Chicago World's Fair brought millions of visitors from around the world, a perfect cover for Holmes's operation. He rented rooms to guests, sold fake insurance policies, and scammed investors. But behind the walls, his true horror continued. Visual: contrast between bright World's Fair images and the dark shadow of the castle. No one suspected a thing. Holmes's charisma and charm made him untouchable. He could smile while plotting your murder, and people trusted him completely. But as the fair ended, Holmes's financial scams began to collapse. He fled Chicago, leaving behind a trail of missing persons and a building full of secrets. In 1894, Holmes's crimes began catching up to him, not because of the murders, but because of insurance fraud. He had teamed up with an accomplice, Benjamin Petezel, to fake Petezel's death and claim the life insurance money. But Holmes decided it would be easier if Petezel actually died. He murdered his partner, staged the body, and collected the insurance payout, but made a crucial mistake. He kept traveling with Petezel's children, promising to take care of them. Authorities grew suspicious. A relentless detective named Frank Geyer followed Holmes's trail across several states, until he made a horrifying discovery. In a house in Indianapolis, Geyer found the remains of Petezel's children. Holmes had killed them too. When police finally searched Holmes's Chicago hotel, they were not prepared for what they found. Secret rooms, torture devices, airtight chambers, and a basement filled with bones and acid vats. It was a literal house of horrors, a place built for death. Newspapers dubbed it the Castle of Terror. Though many of the victims could never be identified, reports suggest Holmes may have murdered as many as 200 people, though he later confessed to only 27. The world had never seen anything like him before. Holmes's trial in 1895 was a media circus. He represented himself in court and seemed to enjoy every minute of the attention. Calm, articulate, and even smiling, he confessed to some murders while denying others. In his own chilling words, Holmes said, "I was born with the devil in me. I could not help the fact that I was a murderer, no more than the poet can help the inspiration to sing." He was found guilty and sentenced to death. On May 7, 1896, H.H. Holmes was hanged in Philadelphia. Witnesses said even in death, he showed no remorse, only that same eerie calm that defined his life. After Holmes's death, his murder castle mysteriously burned down under suspicious circumstances, but his legacy lived on, inspiring books, films, and legends that blurred fact and fiction. Some say he was the first modern serial killer, intelligent, methodical, and addicted to control. Others believe his case exposed the darker side of America's Gilded Age, greed, ambition, and moral decay hidden beneath progress. Even today, historians debate how many victims he truly had, or how much of the castle's design was exaggerated by sensationalist newspapers. But one thing is certain: H.H. Holmes turned his genius into pure evil and left behind a story that continues to haunt true crime history. What drives a man to turn an entire building into a killing machine? Was it greed, madness, or something far darker? Something that still lurks within humanity today? If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most chilling true crime stories, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, because in the next episode, we'll explore another case where charm and horror walked hand in hand.